this town and our residents, and why should we fund grants and attention given to other towns at a higher percentage than those towns receiving those higher benefits from that board? That is totally wrong. I would love to have you give her my home phone number. Have her call me if she has any problem whatsoever with that, but I am not going to have the residents of this town treated less than those that are receiving the benefits from that. And I'll stand to that till day I die right now.
Please remember that.
That's just upsetting.
The New Hampshire way.
Yeah, that's just upsetting me.
I understand, really, but just remember, all official communication to and from the board has to go through the chairman. So you can't speak on behalf of the board. Unless you want to be chairman next year.
I understand that. I am a resident, and I do pay into that also out of my taxes. And
but I think I'm concerned.
I'm very sorry, Tom, but that doesn't.
No. I completely understand. Sure. But I'm curious. Is there any of the money, Ed, that we, as a potential, participant in paying our dues, does that money just go into operating the SRPC, or does that go into any form of grants?
I think both. It doesn't go with grants. I think it goes into, it helps matching funds. Because of course all this grant money requires matching funds, and that's what they're...
So for its potential, that Jim's point is that the town of Brookfield, in paying dues over the years, has been able to match other towns' funds on grants, because it's very likely other towns are applying for grants, even though we may not be doing it.
Oh, they're applying for grants, yes.
So we're being a donor town in that respect.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, to be fair to the RPC would say, well, we're not receiving any grants because we're not asking them to write any. That is a fair point of view, certainly.
Do we ask for more than we need? Do we ask for more than we need? Do other towns ask for more than they need?
Yes.
I've lived in Dover. I was born and raised in Dover. I know they ask for more than they need. I know for a fact they do.
Go ahead, Booney.
Fact of life. I think, Jim, what's getting you angry is the fact that Dover is an urban area. We are not an urban area. They need, whether we think so or not, as far as SRPC, they need planning services. They need to figure out where to put the curbs, where to put the firehouses, where to put the dump trucks, things like that. We don't need that.
We're applying their public works dollars that are already allocated.
I'm not fighting it. I'm just trying to explain to you why we shouldn't even be a member of SRPC, in my opinion, because we're not an urban town.
Well, you have to.
We don't need it.
We do have to.
And they don't fit.
We do have to, by law, belong to some regional plan.
That really ticks me off. I'm with you.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Rob.
I getting into McLaris and numerous other people who have benefited greatly from the tax dollars of Dover. My parents still live there. They still get the town reports. It's still there.
Yeah.
And they're benefiting.
Well, that's yet another reason not to pay the dues.
To a whole different scenario there.
Okay, Rob, go ahead.
So,
and they're still getting great money. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I think that part of the discussion, and I think that well, at least one part that resonated with me, and it did relate to Ed's presentation, is the strings that come with the money. And I sort of sensed that as a group we felt uncomfortable with the strings that came with the money, and that we really have I don't know if it's political or philosophical problem with the process that SRPC is their primary function, right? And that we don't really want, I mean, I don't have the same level of, I don't know, enthusiasm. Thank you. But I mean, I think that, I don't like things that aren't fair, right? Where one person is paying more than another, and they're getting, for no good reason, right? I mean, I don't know where the formula came from, but I think that issue is, I'd be more concerned about that issue if I actually wanted to participate and actually be writing grants and getting their help, that it was costing us more to get their help than somebody else. But I don't want their help. And I think that I got a sense that that's a big part of our decision. And I had no real problems with your answer in that email, aside from the fact that you said it was primarily budgetary, because while it's true that it is a budgetary impact. I didn't get the sense that that was necessarily the primary concern that this group had as a whole.
You felt it was more philosophical.
Well, maybe that was I could be that was just my interpretation because that's part of it that resonated with me personally. Right. So I don't want to, I just, I'm not saying that you did wrong, right? I think that what you said is the budget part is big, but my guess would be that if this group could have didn't have the budget issue, but wanted to make a symbolic statement anyway, they probably would have, right? Yeah. And so, anyway, that's, Well,
I didn't really come out and directly say that. I guess I was too indirect in saying that the budget, when it came time to make the financial decision, it was an easy decision because of Ed's presentation. And that his presentation really
tipped the scales,
helped us understand what's going on. I guess that's a little too indirect.
Well, I think it's fine, and I think that it's politically correct, right? You're gonna,
I wasn't sitting down to be PC.
It's for sure. No, but it's nobody's gonna. Fewer people are gonna be upset by us saying we're trying to save money than by us saying that we're going against these large forces that are outside of our community trying to get us to do shit, right? And so I get that, but.
So when somebody swears, do you beep it?
Did I just swear?
No.
Hell no.
Sorry.
It was minor. It was one of those all application swears. So thank you very much, Rob, for being very succinct. And yes, you were absolutely right. It was more in a philosophical aspect, but with this rebuttal, I think we got to start getting into numbers and telling them this is where we stand, and we're not going to take this.
Well,
that's what we're based on. That's what we started on.
$808 would have been a significant chunk of the roughly $6,700 that would have been allocated. That's a pretty big chunk. So it is not a small budgetary issue to this board. To the town and as a total, it's $650,000 plus. Yes. But if you think about it, there's 712 people in this town, and by not spending $808, you just saved everybody a $10 for coffee. Good. For a service that we weren't going to use anyway.
We thank you for that.
Well, don't thank me. Yourselves, you voted for it.
Let's save
So that was my response. I don't know, Ed, do you want to say anything about this?
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure everybody knows that the SRPC and the American Planning Association is the enforcement agency of, and I was told, federal mandates. Now, the federal mandates I got out of the SRPC are the executive orders that the presidents over the years have put down onto the states. And they are there to enforce this by using the Clean Air Act and Clean Water Act and other parts of the executive orders that came out. The latest one is Obama's 84th executive order starting the Rural Council. So I would advise everybody to go home and look up President Obama's Rural Council.
Is that an initiative?
All the internet access stuff and as they're doing, as they keep talking about.
That's one aspect.
Everybody up, right.
But
I'm sorry. One thing we should do is make sure to refrain from any personal opinion, and I wanted to ask you directly if that is an actual official presidential act.
Yes, it's an
initiative.
It's an executive order.
An executive order. Okay. So then we should address it at that point. There are some that don't, they don't agree with my political views. They do not agree with yours or others. But we should be very even-handed with everything we decide here on a gradual level basis. Make sure that that's an actual initiative.
Well, I deal in facts. If I open my mouth up.
I believe you 110%. I just want to make absolutely positive.
Okay. Go once, go twice. Okay, next piece of mail. Hopefully it won't be so animated.
We might get through the mail.
This is the first time, I don't know, it's the first time I've actually seen this particular group, SPACE, the Statewide Program of Action to Conserve Our Environment. And it's a letter from the chairman, and it's essentially a newsletter. I honestly don't think I've ever seen this group before.
Is this a private organization?
I have no idea.
Where are they from?
Let's see the date. Where are they from?
Postmark.
Concord.
Beijing?
Close.
I
Start to see.
Well,
I haven't even read this yet. I'm just trying to catch up as we go here. But it's right here. Feel free to read it if you want.
Go to the last page. They're probably asking for money.
You know, that's a good point. Hold on a minute. Let's check and see if that's what they're
Cut to
saying.
the chase.
See if they're looking.
Our membership.
No. But it's a lot of informational things. So.
Must be in the middle.
We have the next copy of Town and City. You're all welcome to read it.
How much do we pay for town and city? And does anyone actually?
It comes from local government center. I don't know where the money goes. We don't put it as a line item. I didn't sign up for it, but they keep sending it. So, is it addressed directly to us?
I think the
It's addressed to me. They keep sending it.
I think the selectmen get one too.
Subscription bill.
I haven't gotten it yet. The last piece of correspondence actually has to do with conditional use permit application stuff, but I'll just mention it real quick. I was asked to send Laura 2 questions after the last meeting regarding that, and here's the piece of correspondence. We'll talk about it further in the conditional use permit application discussion, so we'll hold off on that for then. Okay, that's correspondence and mail. Public comments. Are there any public comments? Okay, hearing none. Let's move on.
This says for non-members, it's what did it say? $30 for non-membership per year, and $22 for members for this publication.
I didn't pay for it.
Okay.
Do we? I've never looked at it.
As a town, we're members of LGC, right? Maybe it's part
Yeah,
of
maybe
the,
it's town, maybe it's the whole town.
maybe it's part of our overall dues as the town. We just send it to the planning board. But hey, we've got it, so enjoy it.
No, my question is, does anyone look at it?
I used to read them.
Does it have value?
Um,
Like $20 value?
think about who you're asking. I don't think it has much. I find maybe one article, an issue that's interesting.
Yeah.
The rest of it is, gives you a lot of case study for people fighting municipalities. And who,
Well, there was last
it-
week. Ed posted a lecture from the SRPC meeting by a guy named John Carroll, who's a interesting person from UNH. He's a professor down there, and one of the things he's working on is grass-based farming. And he had written an article that was in the last one, which was I'm hoping to track down if I'd like to read it. He's pretty knowledgeable about those things, and he believes grass-based farming would be a great thing for this area. So,
these 1, 2,
Expensive.
3.
the magazine or him?
Grass-based farming
Oh,
compared to, it's like on par with hay. But
I know. I'm a bookkeeper for a farm. I know how these things go. Anyway, so that's that. No public comments. Okay, review and approval of the minutes from October 10th. Does everybody have a copy of these minutes? Great.
So on the first page, item Roman numeral 2F, Richard Zacher officiated as alternate. Maybe he served as alternate,
Yeah, that'd be a better way to put it.
or was appointed as something.
Oh, the
Was
chair would have
seated.
to recognize whether to be appointed or seated.
Well, yeah, he was